Hey, welcome to Mama Mandala. I'm Hagar. I am excited to be with you in this moment. We're in the threshold of fall. Autumn's about to begin in the northern hemisphere. Of course, spring is about to start in the southern hemisphere. But here in the northern hemisphere, there is this transition feeling from the abundance and the beauty and the maturity of summer and into the beginning of breaking down, the beginning of falling apartness of autumn, of fall, when the leaves start to change their color and the winds blow a little bit more fiercely through the trees. And there's this release of leaves to the ground and of fruit. It's still harvest season. In fact, the fall equinox is considered in pagan tradition to be the second of the harvests. And it's when there's still abundance, there's still a lot going on, but we begin to smell the beginning of the end, right? When, okay, this is our kind of like our almost last chance to gather what we can and prepare for the dark days, for the winter. Now it sounds really, really silly to say it. I live in Los Angeles, for crying out loud. We're gonna be okay, you know. there's a lot in the modern world that in some ways makes us forget the connection to nature and to the cycles of nature and to the cycles of the season. And there are aspects to this disconnect that we think of as helpful and as supportive of our lives. And there are things about this disconnect that are damaging. We stop seeing ourselves as part of the environment, and that damages the environment, and ultimately it also hurts us, right? So reconnecting ourselves to the season can be a deeply meaningful process and also a valuable endeavor to consider, because it allows us to create a healthier, more reciprocal relationship with the more than human world, and also to create a deeper connection and a deeper and more meaningful ways for us to touch aspects of ourselves, to understand ourselves more deeply, because we too move in phases. We too roll around the world in cycles. We are not always with the same level of energy. We're not always experiencing ourselves the same way. Fall is the beginning of the year's aging. And there's an invitation here, if we will receive it, to reclaim the process of aging, which I'm personally very much in the process of doing. I'm engaged in this work all the time right now, right? Like this embrace of the process, because I said that to a friend a few times. When we look at a tree and we see the tree's age, we don't think, oh wow, what an ugly tree, it's aging, right? No, we look at nature and we look at the process and we see beauty. And we can do that with ourselves too. We can learn as a society to embrace aging, to empower ourselves through the process. Now, I have a program coming up. We're gonna take this fall invitation into our bodies. There's something in fall because it's harvest, especially the fall equinox time, the transition we are right now in, like right before I'm releasing this video, right before the fall equinox. And it's, you know, it's relevant after as well for a few weeks, this transition where the harvest is this process of gathering. And there's also simultaneously what we're gathering is nature's release. So in us and in our lives, we have this dichotomy and this nuance and intricate process of being able to look at some of the things that we've been growing in our lives and in ourselves and in our processes and in our work over the past few months, many months now, right? 3/4 of the year is behind us. And so we can gather with gratitude and with appreciation the things that we have grown, that have matured, that are now being collected, harvested, brought in, and becoming nourishment. And we can do what nature does, which is this drop, this release, this stirring that creates the process of composting, right? I always think when I release something, because in spiritual work we talk so much about letting things go, right? Releasing, but where is it going? When we look at earth, nothing that is being let go of is going anywhere but into the earth to be reabsorbed and recycled and reused, and it becomes a fertilizer and it becomes the seed of next season, right? So there's a simultaneity of fertilization with the process of death and decay. And there's a simultaneity of gathering and harvesting and receiving and deeply rooting ourselves in the process of nourishment, as we're also doing the work of grief and of allowing some of the things that maybe are shedding in our lives to be let go of. Now, we're going to take this to the mat. We're going to do a few twists and a little bit of breath. And if you want to go deeper into this work, and if this is evocative for you and interesting for you, and you want to take this deeper, I have a somatic ceremony to celebrate the autumn equinox that is now available for registration. It's on MamaMandala.com, and I will leave a link for you in the description of the video. And it is a powerful, in-depth, mythopoetic journey that also involves 5 somatic practice rituals to work with the season, to work with the metaphors, to work with the myths, because in the storytelling session, we're going to tell a lot of different stories. It's deep and rich, and I would love for you to join me for that. There's also a meditation pranayama session. There's prompts. It is well-rounded, and it's going to take really good care of you. So that is available for registration right now on mamamandala.com. And without further ado, come to your mat, come to all fours, to your hands and your knees, and press your hands deeply into the earth. If you don't want to put weight on your hands for this one, you can do this sitting up. You can do this even sitting on a chair or on a couch. We're gonna inhale and take the chest forward and the hips back. And exhale, slowly round your back. So simple cat and cow movements can be done also without the weight on the hands if you need to. Inhale, arch your back, take your chest forward and hips back. So do it in a way that works for your body. And exhale, round your back and press your hands deeply into the earth if you are on all fours. Inhale, bring a tone to the back of the throat as you reach your hips back and your chest forward. And keep it as you exhale and round your back. So the breath makes this resonant sound. One more. Inhale, chest forward, hips back. Exhale, round your back. Bring your spine with an inhalation to the space between cat and cow. And as you exhale, lift your knees up and back. Reach up and back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and root deeply down through the inner edges of your hands and through the tips of your fingers, so that there's the weight is distributed in your hands, and not all the weight goes to your wrists. Because if your fingertips are light on the mat and the index finger knuckles lift up off the floor, there's a lot of weight on the wrist. So press the hands down deeply. Inhale, bring your knees to the floor again. Slow breath through the tone in the back of the throat. And exhale, we're going to take the hips forward and then down to the floor. Point your feet, spread your toes, come into cobra. Lift your chest and lengthen your spine. Lengthen the back of the head. Broaden through your collarbones. Deep breath in. We're going with the serpents to the subterranean worlds of autumn. Exhale, tuck your toes, stretch up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, if you're not wanting to put weight on your hands, if that's too much for you, you can put your hands, again, on the edge of a couch, of a chair. You can put your hands on a wall, so you don't have to do this downward dog thing if that's not good for you, for your wrists, for your shoulders, for your hands. Deep breath in. And with an exhalation, walk your hands back towards your feet into Uttanasana, forward bend. And if this is a lot for your hamstrings, go ahead and bend your knees so you can bring your fingertips to the floor. If that's still too much, put your hands on blocks or again on chairs, on the side of couch, on a stool. Inhale and look forward, halfway up. Gathering your deeply meaningful, valuable lessons from this year as you inhale and exhale, fold in. What can you release to the earth so that it can be reused and fertilize the next cycle of growth? Inhale and look forward, halfway up. Exhale, slowly fold in. Make your legs strong, like that gathering of harvest. Pull your heels energetically back so that the backs of your legs are strong. And put a lot of weight, just as much as you do on your heels, on the balls of your feet. Inhale and look forward again, halfway. This time with an exhalation, walk your hands forward and come back into downward facing dog. And now you know the options. You don't have to do downward dog. So go to the place that feels most supportive for where you are in your body. Lift your arm bones up a little bit and then reach your hips up towards the sky and your heels to the earth as your hands root down deeply. Inhale, lift your right leg up. Exhale, bend the right knee, open up your right hip with your right foot towards the left. And reach your leg back, deep breath in. And exhale, step the right foot forward in between your hands into lunge. Not to lunch, but to lunge. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Deep breath. Lengthen your spine. Oh my God. My kids laugh at me that I have dad jokes all the time. Exhale, reach your right arm up towards the sky. Bend deep into your right knee and lengthen your left heel back so there's length in your body. Lengthen through the crown of your head as you turn your chest up to the sky. And as you turn, as you twist, as you open, as you twists are considered to be poses where we churn things and create a little bit of a cleansing in our system. Now that's not scientifically proven, but it's nice to do it with this intentionality. But they're also invitation to deep engagement, to gathering. So draw the right side of the hip toward the left side of the hip. Draw the right side of the ribs towards the left side of the ribs. And then turn your chest up to the sky. Untwist with a deep inhalation. And exhale, step your back foot forward into Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale, look forward, halfway up. Bend your knees if needed. Exhale and fold and bow deeply back in. Bring your left hand outside of your right shin, so between your knee and your ankle, and pull on the shin to look underneath your right arm bone and breathe. Now, do you feel how the whole twist, the whole hip girdle wants to turn with you to the right? So that's normal that it wants to do that. Create a little bit of resistance, like you're doing that harvest, that collecting energy in your body. Right hip bone toward the left, right ribs toward the left, so that you're stabilizing your hips in the center a little bit more as you turn your chest underneath. Untwist with an inhale, bring your left fingertips to the floor. And with an exhalation, step your right foot back. And bring your left knee. I said right foot, I meant left foot, so sorry. So left foot back, left knee to the floor. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Go ahead and put something underneath your left knee if you need to. If that's too hard for your knee to be all the way down on the floor, you can also fold a mat in the middle like that. Arms up, lengthen your spine up through the fingertips. Deep breath. Draw the sides of the ribs towards the center and the front of the hip bones towards each other. Deep breath in. And with an exhalation, bring your right hand to your right thigh and bring your left elbow outside of your right knee. Deep breath in. Keep your right hand on the right thigh and push it down. Lengthen your spine and exhale. Turn the chest through the right side up towards the sky, but draw the right side of the ribs toward the left and the right hip toward the left. Untwist. Inhale, touch the ground. And exhale back into downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Stretch your hips up, your heels down, your hands deeply into the earth. Inhale, bring your shoulders over your wrists to plank pose. And with an exhalation, as you press your hands down, bring your hips down and point your feet. And draw the top part of your shoulders, the heads of your arm bones, back. Exhale, lengthen your spine. Deep breath in. Root deeply down through your hands. They're going to want to lift. Keep them rooted into the floor. Tuck your toes. Stretch up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale, bend the knee and open up the hip. There's a reach, kind of like that scattering that happens in fall when seed pods fly with the wind in many directions. There's this scattering, a reaching, and that reach is a reach for life, for the continuation of life. Reach the leg back, deep breath in. Exhale, step your left foot forward in between your hands. And that can be deep breath in, lengthen your spine. Exhale, reach your left arm up. That can be a reframing for ourselves, because we do live at a time where our energy and our attention and our focus, they're scattered. And it's hard sometimes on our system. But we can reframe it and consider, oh, this is a reach in many directions because I'm reaching for life, for the continuation of life. So how can I find a root and a ground somewhere at every point, at every moment when I find the seeds scattered everywhere? Untwist, inhale, touch the ground, lengthen your spine, and then exhale, step your back foot forward into Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhale and look forward, halfway up. Exhale, slowly fold back in. Bring your right hand outside of your left shin. Keep the fingertips of your left hand on the floor. And again, with the front of the left hip bone, pull toward the right side. With the left side of the ribs, pull towards the right side. But then with the chest, turn to the left. Turn and look underneath your left armpit. And you might find that you need to play with it a little bit, because when one thing moves in one direction, another thing wants to move with it. But we're talking about moving our bodies kind of in two opposite directions at the same time. Hello, welcome to life, right? Inhale and twist. Exhale, step your right foot back. Bring your right knee to the earth. Reach your arms up to the sky. Again, put something underneath your knee if you need to pad your knee. And reach and lengthen. Lift through the upper body. Deep breath in. Lift, and as you exhale, create that engagement. As you exhale and there's the release, draw the sides of the ribs towards the center and draw the sides of the ribs towards the center. And then exhale, Left hand to left thigh and right elbow outside of your left knee. And I feel it. I feel my right hip dropping and wanting to go toward the floor. So I'm going to resist it. Pull the front of the right hip back, but also pull the left hip bone toward the right. As you lengthen your spine, breathe, slow, deep breath, and use your exhalation to turn your chest up to the sky, to the left. Slow breath. Inhale slowly, untwist, touch the ground. Plant your hands and exhale. Stretch up and back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha. Svanasana, inhale to plank and press down through the hands, tips of the fingers, inner edges of the hands. Exhale, hips down, chest forward and up, point your feet. And broaden through your collarbones as you draw the heads of your arm bones back and lift your chest. Deep breath in, gather. Slow exhalation, transition back into downward facing dog. So even with every cycle of breath, there's this gathering and scattering. And we need both. Even being present all the time, not only is it not necessary, it's not needed. You have to give yourself space to space out. Bring your knees to the floor and come hair in the mouth. Come to lie on your back and bring your knees into your chest. Roll a little bit on your spine. Be a little seed pod, finding its way into the ground. It's nice to know too that as the year transition into its last quarter, take your knees to the right, knees together and to the right, and open the left arm to the left, ground the left shoulder into the earth. It's nice to know that in this last phase, we tend to think about it as, okay, so I'm gathering, I'm collecting, I'm tying knots, I'm kind of like completing, finishing things up. And that's great. That's beautiful to work with the cycle that way, but it's also very meaningful when we remember that there's a simultaneity of opposing energies at all times. Slow breath is so helpful to remember that in life, in the world, in society. This lesson from nature. It's an ending of a cycle. There's a dropping, there's a release. There's the maturity that transitions into aging. Inhale, your knees back to center. And exhale, take your knees to the left and open the right arm to the right, ground the right shoulder into the earth. But there's the beginning of the new cycle that goes with it, right? There's the spreading of seed pods. There's a falling and a dropping of fruit to the earth, which slowly during this season will become whatever isn't gathered. Is gonna be decayed, and that decay will fertilize the ground, and that decay will ultimately also eventually send the pit and the seeds down into the underworld to be absorbed and become tomorrow's, next season's, next year's trees, plants. So in the ending, there's a beginning. And they're interwoven, and they contradict and complement each other beautifully. It reminds us that we are an unfinished process. Inhale, your knees back to center, and again, hug yourself. Give yourself that loving hug. There's a falling apart in fall that initiates a recreation. And there's a gathering, a harvesting, a collecting, so that we can cook, so that we can make something. and break it down and nourish and fall apart. Let yourself release. Release your arms, release your legs into Shavasana. And if this speaks to you, not only is there the fall Equinox Somatic Ceremony, but there's also a free program that we're offering right now on MamaMandala. And that's Crisis Revolution is what it's called. So it's, again, that reframing of how we interact with the falling apart and with the struggles of life and the opportunities and the invitation into deep creativity in it. And that's totally free. So I'll leave a link for you in the description of the video for that as well. And stay here in Shavasana. Let it break down, fall apart, and release for as long as you have time for. And I will catch you soon, okay? I'll see you really soon. Hopefully in the fall Equinox Somatic Ceremony and in the Crisis Revolution, both. Okay. Mwah. So much love and gratitude. Namaste.